So the big pivot point now here is going to doing things in New Hampshire and Maine. Stepping back with my son and talking about it and saying, hey, let's just focus in our own backyard, because that's where we'll build the trust of people locally wanting to invest with us that know us, family and friends, of like staying local, things more in your control. And that was sort of the big pivot point. Go from accepting $1 million checks to $10,000 checks,
Right.
and then building back up. And that's sort of that's the pivot point we're in right now.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Micah Johnson. And today I'm speaking with Jim, who's been making some serious moves, especially in the new development space since 2019. Jim, welcome in, man. Glad to have you.
Micah. Good to be here. Good to talk to you. Appreciate you inviting me.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited for our talk today, our pre-recording call. You're going through something that I think investors need to hear across the board, because one, I've never met someone that didn't go through it. And two, when you're walking it out, it can feel a little scary. Let's dig in. We're kind of leaving them with a cliffhanger there. So for people who don't know you yet, let's talk about what's your main focus right now, a little more about yourself and the markets that you operate in.
Sure. Yeah. We're small family business called Froggy Companies. We got Froggy Development, Froggy Funding. We syndicate some money for developments, mainly residential. We're in New Hampshire. I live in Woodboro, central New Hampshire, Lakes region, and we're focused in New Hampshire and Maine. That's really what we're boiled down to now. We're part of a land brokerage, so we try to be on both sides of the equation, like finding land, entitling land, getting it developed, mainly build to sell, mostly residential, some mixed use. We have one industrial, but I'm not going to do that again. Trying to really focus in the residential market, and so that's what we're doing. That's what we're focused on, and for the last 2 years, that's been our exclusive focus on deals.
Well, let's take a quick step back. How'd you get into real estate? What led you to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'll take it back. Really, real estate, go back to, oh man, I'd probably go back to my childhood, but I was one of those kind of kids that's like looking for get rich quick scheme or something when I was kid. I sold life and health insurance when I was 18. I built lawn furniture out of PVC stuff one summer when I was a kid. To try to make money. Back in elementary school, I did cinnamon toothpicks and sold them for I was always entrepreneurial. I'll just say this.
Gotcha. One of those guys.
That got me in trouble. So, but fast forward, I went to engineering school. I went to Georgia Tech. I was an Air Force officer. I was an intelligence officer. I had an engineering background and raised two sons. I have 2 grown sons. Had a family. All the traditional things that made me happy and successful to a level, right? But in the background, I always want something passive income. So at some point down the road, I'm going to need passive income. So in my 20s, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, 1998 or whatever, like soon after it first came out, right? I was almost 30 years old and started analyzing it. I ordered Carlton Sheets, no money down payment cassettes back then. Again, we're talking late 90s. I got into the coaching program.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So by the time I was 30, I was all primed to start doing multifamilies. And that's really where it started. And my wife was involved and my brother-in-law, we were analyzing, we were going to buy our first 6-unit to start building a portfolio for the future. And that's really where it started. Interesting quick side note is that from the Carlton Sheets coaching program, where I hooked up with these people out of Utah, they introduced me to a mortgage company, right? I learned a lot from the Carlton Sheets. Even though he was like an infomercial type of guy, I really learned a lot through that process. We had a 6-unit under contract in Manchester, New Hampshire, and the owner had agreed to take back 70% in the form of a note, something along those lines. And we got the mortgage approved, yada, yada. You fast forward to we're a few weeks out of before closing, and the mortgage company out of Utah contacts us and says, oh, we didn't know the property was in New Hampshire. We're not licensed in New Hampshire. Because I was at an Air Force base in Massachusetts. I don't know how that happens, but it was kind of tied to the code. There was a lesson in there, but we had to back out of this deal because we didn't have a mortgage company. And so the seller, who was a property manager, was kind of mad about it. And I want to say that's like 1999, early 2000s. Fast forward, we moved up to New Hampshire in 2000. Either heard on the radio or read in the paper. The guy who was selling it got arrested. He was indicted. And what happened was a young girl died in that 6-unit from lead poisoning, and he had not disclosed that. So it was, yeah, you can look this up around 2000, 2001. So it's like he got sent to prison for a couple of years. That was a property we were going to buy. So it was a silver lining to the story of how we didn't get involved in that. So now fast forward, my career just moves on typically till around, I want to say like 2015, I start seriously listening to books again, writing a business plan with the vision that I would buy things in the D to C class, make them C or B, and I would own a portfolio and we'd manage it to 10 to 15,000 units. And it's just sort of a glorified high ideal thing. And then it didn't take me long. We were involved in a 2-family that my wife managed. Immediately got the lesson that I hate property management, don't want anything to do with it. You know, I like to say, if you've ever helped a crackhead move out in the middle of an ice storm in the middle of the night because they got evicted 2 years earlier, you'll get a feel for what property management's about. So I didn't want anything to do with that. So our vision kind of changed. And then fast forward up to 2018, 2019, in 2017, 2018, I started doing some syndications at a small level. Mostly I've been gravitated to the syndication side of bringing investors together for larger deals. Then I went full-time in 2019 with a company called Permanis, where a guy who I heard on a podcast and connected with that had been doing real estate his whole life, he said, why don't you vet deals for me? You got this background, like just vet deals for us and you can really immerse yourself in sort of what we're doing. And so I was the director of development for Permanis in 2019 till COVID, and long story for that. But I shifted and I got involved in development and syndication and sort of been there since. So I cut the story off there. It was probably more than you need to know, but that's how it got.
It's good, man, because one, it's going to line up on the focus that we're going to shift to and how important that is in your business, but also just the reality that real estate's a big umbrella and you're allowed to change. You're allowed to not like stuff. The thing I'm glad about is you didn't just get out after you didn't like being a landlord and a property manager. That throws a lot of folks out of the industry because they just think, well, that's all there is. That's all I can do. And that's not true. It's huge. I'm not particularly a fan of being a landlord either. And I just like, okay, so what can I do in the industry that lets me still be here? If I don't like that part, okay, not a big deal. What else is there? Which is kind of leads us into, that focus factor of sometimes you got to take a step back. Sometimes you got to look and see, okay, what's in front of me? Why am I actually doing this? Has it changed since I got in? And what adjustments do I need to make based on that? So what have you experienced in that world coming from, okay, I know I don't want to do that. I want to focus more on this new development. And now that's where you're focused in New Hampshire and Maine, because you were national, right?
Yeah. So let me tell you. So there's really two pivots here, right? There was the pivot from sort of the vision that we'll build up this business and we'll start building a portfolio. We could get back to that. We could own rentals someday. Build up a portfolio. That vision, and it switched to syndication and the money that's involved in the transactions of syndication and bringing equity to a deal and having a sliver for yourself and working through the development process, which really at the high level, the development and syndication world boils down to people gravitate to one side or the other. The development side, we're like, I got to go deal with towns and entitlement and site planning, state and local approvals. And then the other side is like, I got to bring investors to either have all my own money or I got to bring investors for equity. And then I got to deal with lenders and debt brokers. So, and usually people gravitate to one or the other.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
The people that I went to work for at Permanis, they had been on both sides of that, but they had gravitated to having a bunch of high net worth investors, like an accreditation pool, where my job was just vetting deals that were shovel ready, that people had done the hard work, with sponsors coming to me saying, do you guys got $10 to $15 million? You want to bring the equity to this and go forward as a joint venture. So I had a big learning experience with that, and I liked it. I'm comfortable underwriting deals of any magnitude, right? I'm using my analytical skills built on my engineering background. I'm good with systems, et cetera. Bringing all that anal retentive stuff to the equation, and then raising money, then dealing with investors. I'm pretty good at talking to people about a deal and what's in it for them, and dealing with lawyers and stuff. This phase that I went into, 2019 to 2023, I got involved in partnerships, syndicating a lot of money, doing big deals, and having my small slice. So I became accredited myself, started making more money than I ever had made in my engineering jobs in the previous time, or with the Air Force or Homeland Security. And that led me to getting like subdivision entitled in Colorado or something done in Michigan. It was really opportunistic based, right? Anywhere in the country in terms of our outlook and view. And part of the negative side, though, it gave me a false illusion because I had physically been involved in the raising of $40 million, mostly other people's warm leads. That was the key, not people coming to me because they knew Jim Froehlich from somewhere else. It's like other guys, I'm good at finding the deals and vetting the deals, but I didn't have all these relationships. So I thought I would just stay at that level of like 506C syndications, accredited investors, and do stuff anywhere in the country. But I learned some hard lessons that I won't get into. Didn't like lose a ton of money, have relationship break with some partners who I was letting handle the on the ground building part of, and I sort of put a lot of trust in them. I had to take a step back, and so the big pivot point now here is going to doing things in New Hampshire and Maine. Stepping back with my son and talking about it and saying, hey, let's just focus in our own backyard, because that's where we'll build a trust of people locally wanting to invest with us that know us, family and friends, of like staying local, things more in your control. And that was sort of the big pivot point, go from accepting $1 million checks to $10,000 checks,
right?
And then building back up. And that's sort of then that's the pivot point we're in right now. I think we syndicated, last 6 months of last year, like 700,000. We got a small subdivision approved and another one approved, and doing some infill projects. And then we're building back up instead of just swinging for these home runs that really require other big guys to come to the equation. And I might have told you one other thing I'll add to that is that I created a fund of funds when I was in this state about 2022, 2023 for it. And the idea was to raise $18 million. And I was going to diversify that with 4 different really experienced sponsors. And it fell flat. Put a ton of money into advertising, and we didn't raise anywhere near what we thought we were going to start raising in terms of commitments. And the valuable lesson was on that, it was part of the pivot, is like, I need to just go focus on my own deals and syndicate per deal. And if I want to do a fund of funds in the future, it's going to be for my portfolio of deals, not because I have a bunch of other sponsors lined up. Because at the end of the day, people writing a check to me, they want to write it to me based on what I'm doing, not what somebody else is doing. because they can always go to those other people, right?
Right.
That's it.
Well, it's
That's the pivot.
important too. And you learn the skills that you needed. And like you said, it kind of gave you a false idea that I can, people just give me their money, but it gave you the realization too of, okay, now once that didn't happen, it kind of gave you the reset where now you're really doing your own thing.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
We got to start here because I think you said this you said this in pre-recording call. Like if you can't raise a $10,000 check, you're not going to get $1 million check, right?
Exactly.
Like it's where do you gotta, you may be striking out here. Where do you got to move in the stream to say, okay, where do we actually need to get started so that we can get up to there? Because all the other partners that you work with that had those long careers, they started there too, right? That's the thing about real estate. It's hard to skip steps. People can show you potholes to miss, but the steps are the steps. The process is the process, especially for each of us. We all got to build our own reputations, our relationships. We all have our own spheres that we're dealing with. And all those things, as you go through them, it creates the flywheel or the snowball. Like it has to get going. There's that hard
Absolutely.
phase. Everything has that upfront lump effort involved. But once it gets going, now you're setting yourself up for the real future you were hoping for, where the foundation's there, the floor is there. Cause that's something I encourage everybody. Raise your floors, leave your ceilings alone. Like we all want to make the most, right? How much money you want to make? As much as I can, right? That's always the answer. But how much do you need to make? Like what's the minimum? And does your floor get you to there? Are you set up to get your minimum? Because if you're not, it doesn't make a difference how much you actually want to make, right? Now you're relying on hope, and hope ain't a strategy. That is,
Exactly.
that's what we all got to remember. And there's value, man, to those singles and doubles like you're going through right now. And it's the folks I know that are super successful. That's their focus, singles and doubles, because that's when the home runs come once a quarter or once a year. How they flow through is making sure I got that steady process. I know it to go. How helpful has it been going local, going now just in New Hampshire and Maine? One, just as a business owner and the stress involved, and two, the ability to start getting traction in projects.
It's been huge because my tendency in the beginning and through a lot of books that I had read early on was like find the demographic area, where people are moving to. It's still a lot of people think this way and are very successful this way. Where are people moving to? Why are they moving to? How diverse is the economy, et cetera, right? Because it does come down to that to a degree, absorption rates, et cetera. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, I strongly feel this way. People might disagree because my wife always, starting with my wife, she's like, well, who wants to move there? I'm like, well, people live there. 5,000 people live there. I think any market has potential to be good because it really comes down to price point. What are you going to be able to get that land at? What are people paying who are there now? And how can you make it work? Now there's cities all across America that you would look at and say, this town like dried up. There's nothing going on. I think there's a lot of opportunity in redevelopment in some of these areas with the internet, with creating other job markets. And so you really got to look at, can you create your own ecosystem in this place that somebody, not necessarily related to the same concepts of what people do with gentrification, but
Right.
in different areas. I think you can create your reality. So I think once we settled, and really me and my son helped convince me, like, Dad, let's just focus here where we could start getting people from New England, from northern New England. This is our area. Like it took a lot of nonsense out of the equation, right? Other people come. I'd still try to resist the shiny object. Like, oh, hey, if you raise $4 million over here for the Charlotte deal, I'll give you 200,000. And I'm like, hey, maybe I'll look at. And then I got to go, no, here in New Hampshire, we're looking at this. So one, it just narrows your view. And now it makes it a ton easier to focus on deals you're vetting into. Two, you start building more relationships locally, things you hadn't really thought about. You start viewing everything a little bit different because now you're looking at really sub-markets. And, if I could relate it to sports analogy for it. It's like the guy who uh, gets further along in his career, the game slows down for him, right? He's in practice,
Right.
and all of a sudden everything slows down and becomes more clear. So it's been huge, and we're starting to get traction. We More deals are coming up. We've created this land brokerage element where we're on the front end, and now we're not shooting in the dark to the whole world.
Mm,
We're like county by county or city. These properties, let's send out carts to these people. Like let's look at this.
love that, man. It, like you said, it starts to clear up. Everything slows down for you. You start to see it differently. There's a good book, and you can read it in a couple hours. It's by a guy named Nick Peterson called Bumpers. And the whole point of this book is to makes you think about what do you actually want? You need to define it, get clarity on what it is you want to do, and then don't do anything that's outside the bumpers. And when you have that, it gets so easy to say no. Like the Charlotte deal, does it line up with what we're trying to build? No. Okay. It's a great opportunity, man, but not for me. Thanks. Appreciate that. Because I'm here, I'm doing this. And that's how you create that consistency. Real estate's doing the little things well for a long time. It's a get rich slow scheme. That if you want to be successful at it, take that mindset. You're not in a race. Most folks get into it for freedom and that generational wealth change. You got till you're dead for that, right? Like that's the fun thing about real estate. You can do it for a long time depending on what kind you're doing. And for me in my own life, when I like settled down and started thinking that way of way more long term, way more less deals, more better deals. What is the I don't want all the deals. I just want the deals that I want. I want those to be better. How do I start doing that? And then you start getting that capitalization where you can be local. I know folks that are only local. And one thing I love about the local thing is you actually make the difference in your neighborhood. That's what I love about it. The stories that come from my local friends. I have a friend out in Missouri in a small little town in Missouri. I call him the King of St. Joe. The dude's just changing his whole town straight up. He's been doing it for 5 years now, just literally changing the face of his town to the point now where even when a house gets condemned, the judges just call him. They're friends now. Hey, man, this thing's terrible. We trust you to get it fixed. You want to be able to have a shot at getting this house? Yep, sure do. I'll be there. Let me take a shot at it.
Yeah, that's
And it's
awesome.
like, I love that, man, because it's more, is he making a ton of money? Yes, he is. Is he making a ton of impact? Yes, he is. Right. And that is what I love about it is that when you're doing it that way, and it's not that you can't do it when you're national, but like, when you go national, your mindset shifts. It is not, it becomes way less about the person and way more about the deal itself because it's transactional in my
Sure.
opinion, way more than it is relational. And real estate's a team sport. It's all about relationships. And the longer you can have the same ones, like anything, the most expensive customer is a brand new one. The one that's the most lucrative is one you have for a long time. Any relationship is the same way. The longer you can have it that it's good, the more benefits that come from it, especially when it's the folks we work with. Because making sure you know your contractors, your builders, your everybody on down the line, right? Like we can't even buy a house by ourselves. This is a team sport. You need to know people. And when you can focus, the less people you need to know, the less people you got to worry about, the less things like all these different levers in the deal that have to make it work start to go away. And one thing I noticed in my world, the less things that could make it go wrong, the way better chance I had of going right. The more things I needed to just barely line up for it to go right. Now I'm introducing exponential probability it's fixing to go wrong. And it's about like what you're talking about, simplifying. Hey, hold on, deep breath. What's actually happening here? And what adjustments can we make that one line up with me personally and line up with what we're trying to do? And I love that the traction you're already getting just proves that point. It's the narrowed focus. We all get into business thinking everybody's our customer. Everybody ain't your customer. You have your customers. Just wake up each day and go find them. They're going to be there. No one can take them from you. That's what I love about real estate. The guy who taught it to me, he said, Micah, there's no competition in this industry. As long as you wake up each day and do your job, you will never experience not having a deal. You're going to experience all different kind of markets. You're going to experience all different kind of times. But if you're dedicated, dude, leave the stress behind. There's going to be plenty of stress in the deal. You don't have to worry about it. And I love that mentality because it's what gets you up and keeps you going and lets you focus. Like I'm from a tiny town in Florida. A friend of mine there, you wouldn't believe how well he's doing as a real estate investor for the last 20 years in this tiny little place. And it's what showed me too. Yes, you can chase the markets. You can do all that. That's fine. You don't have to. There's another option out there where really you put a little pocket together and you have the long game in mind, you're going to do great. You're going to do great because it's the longer you're there, the more people are going to know you and the more people are going to call you, and then referrals kick in. And now it's coming from everywhere. Your brand doesn't get diluted. It's hard to build a brand nationwide. It's way easier to build it in a smaller place first. And something I
Absolutely.
always like to remind folks about Amazon, they only sold us books for 9 years. One
Yeah,
thing. They
good
went an
point.
inch wide and a mile deep on one thing, and then they branched out. And we're all obsessed with scaling. You don't, it has its right time. It has its right place where it can scale correctly versus just like being in a rush to do it. What's that thing you can get really good at? Well, Jim, man, I really appreciate your time today. For those that are listening in that, want to find out more about you, see what else you have going on, and can appreciate your story and just the realism of it, what's the best way for them to find you?
Thanks, Micah. It's been really good talking to you too. And the easiest is somebody just email me at jim@froggyfunding.com, jim@froggyfunding.com. I'm on LinkedIn mainly. I don't do a ton of social media right now. And our website, froggycompanies.com, give you insight to our development side and our syndication side. So yeah.
That man, excellent. Well, if you're watching along, listening in, check the show notes. We'll make sure that all Jim's links are there. Follow along with someone that's building a real business. What we always talk about. The folks we try to bring on the show are the real ones that are going through it and that day to day, learning how to make this work. I think everybody can get into it. Real estate is a big industry. Take advantage of the largest generational wealth builder the world has ever known when you get a chance, right? Just be open, be in there for the long haul. Again, Jim, thanks for being with us. I appreciate your time, your story, your perspective, man. I think we need more folks out there doing it like you're doing it, just solving the problem, getting it done, putting out quality products. For all those listening and watching, if you got value out of today's episode, please like this episode, share it with somebody else you think get value out of it. As always, don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate every single one of you that follows along with us. We got more conversations coming up with operators just like Jim, again, out there building a real business in the industry. Thanks for joining us. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.